everyone, and welcome to Maple Leaf Reviews. I am Jeffrey.
I am Jacob.
And today we're doing a full review of Arkham Horror, the card game.
The LCG.
The living card game. It's alive!
It's alive!
So, we're going to jump into our full review. We break it down into different components, different topics, starting off with the artwork and components for the game.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is basically just all cards,
Yeah.
few cardboard tokens, but there's a lot of art in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Most of which I actually quite enjoy, and I think brings out the feeling, the aesthetic of the theme quite well.
Sure, I would agree. I felt like majority of the art was really well done, and there was a couple pieces of art where I think they pulled from different sources, different artists,
Right.
and some of it doesn't match perfectly. I had one card in my deck that I kept seeing pop up all the time, and I'm like, that looks a little weird compared to everything else.
Right.
But it wasn't like completely out of place.
Yeah, it wasn't like a stick figure drawing, whereas everything else was all this.
No. No. So overall, our artwork and components were really good.
The one thing that I will call out, though, for this game is the fact that you need a chaos bag, so an opaque container of some description to draw the chaos tokens from.
Where is it, Fantasy Flight?
Yeah, not provided.
Didn't get one.
Not provided in the game,
Yeah.
which is a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Because why?
Bring your own bag.
Yeah, bring your own bag essentially to this game. I think it could have been done really well. You could have got a nice bag, maybe some embroidering on it. You know, spice it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought it would be really cool. So yeah, a little bit disappointed that wasn't in the game.
Yeah. I don't see why they couldn't do that. I can't imagine that the costs of creating some sort of token bag were like through the roof where they couldn't produce it for this game.
Exactly. So then on to the theme for this game. Well,
Right.
Arkham Horror, it's Cthulhu.
Right.
Did you get that feeling when playing? Like this whole gritty horror-esque?
Yeah, I definitely felt like I was in the Arkham world.
Yeah.
You're going around these like kind of haunting areas, and these ghoulish creatures are coming out, and you're fighting them, and
Yeah, I definitely felt
weird things are happening.
I felt like I was trying to investigate. There's some mysteries happening here.
Yeah.
These things coming out at me. The other thing was in your deck you have these weakness cards.
Sure.
So each character is flawed in and of themselves.
Oh, yes, and very flawed.
Yeah. You're just like, when you draw that, you're like, oh no. So, and you never know when that's going to hit you. And there's always this sense of you don't know what's around the corner, what challenges you're going to have to face, which I think really brought out the theme quite well.
Yeah, and there were several just different things that happened over the course of the game that seemed quite thematic as well. Like you come across this locked door, and you can't search for these tokens until you break into the place. So you can use brute force to break in, or you can try and pick the lock.
Yeah.
There's monsters that are hunting you down, and they'll follow you from location to location.
Yep.
So there was different mechanisms in the game that would draw you in as well.
As well as the whole Doom advancement in the game. It really puts the tension on. You feel like there's a ticking clock. You're racing against the clock to get things done. You're like, oh, are we going to get everything done, or are we going to fail? I felt that tension just build and build as the story progressed.
For sure. The one thing going along with that, though, is I feel that with this kind of storyline theme that you're going through in the game, it's kind of once you play through the game once, that story has already been told, and you kind of have an idea of what's coming up.
Right.
And so playing through a second time, should you decide to do so, you kind of know where to go, what to do first before you head to this next area. It kind of takes away some of that surprise that the game offers in theme.
Yeah, I definitely think if you play through a scenario subsequent times, like more than once, you're playing more mechanically than you are thematically. But that first time, you're like, do we need to get this done before this advances?
Right.
Or, should we just resign now? Like, what do we do? What's the best option here? But then the second time you've played through, you know what the outcome of that is likely going to be.
Sure.
So it's more mechanical playing through the game.
Yeah.
For the rules and teaching, I read the rulebook. I didn't really have any difficulty understanding what was happening in the game. The only thing that I had a little bit unclear was the whole thing about allies and how they get assigned damage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was pretty easy to learn and teach. How did you feel from a learning perspective?
Everything was fairly basic, fairly straightforward. The only thing was on several cards that come up, the treachery cards that you're flipping over, they have little subtext, like this card is a peril card and a hex. And you're just like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so you'd constantly have to go back to the rule book. What does this keyword mean?
Yeah. And it does come with a rules reference, which has an index on the back. So it is easy to find those things, but you will be, I think, looking through the rules reference quite a bit during your early plays, trying to figure out what all these different keywords, because there are quite a few of them, what they all mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is all I really have to say for the rules and teaching.
Yeah, cool.
Then on to the meat for this, the gameplay and mechanisms.
Here we go.
Or the rotted limbs meat.
Yeah. That's
Go a little bit of the thematic
rotted
here.
flesh you will be consuming.
So the first thing, chaos bag. For you're doing these different skill tokens. You're going to have a number that you need to meet or exceed.
Yeah.
And you're going to be drawing modifiers from a chaos bag. So that's how the randomness of rather just succeed or fail. I felt that was an awesome mechanism. I liked that way more than rolling dice. It was an event every time I reached my hand into the bag.
Yeah.
It's like you grab onto the token, you like close your eyes, you pull it out, and then there's the reveal. And every time it was like, aha, we did it, or oh crap, we didn't. I need to throw that just forcefully back into the bag.
Usually stronger words than that. It was interesting because one of my biggest reservations coming into this game when we played it for the first time was, why didn't they have dice? Why couldn't I just roll some dice? Why'd they have this stupid bag with these chits that I was pulling out? And I ended up loving it. I absolutely loved it. It, like you said, it made it into an event. You're just like, you're feeling around in the bag, and it's not like, oh, I roll the dice. Oh, the dice hate me today. I can't win. It's your fault. You chose that. You chose that modifier yourself with your own hands.
Yeah, because you're like rooting around and you're like, oh no, not that one. Oh, this one, and then it's like, crap. So yeah, I really, really did enjoy that chaos bag, and like you said, we have done a before and after for this game as well. So if you haven't checked that out, you can go onto our YouTube channel and check that out as well.
See our expectations and first impressions.
Yeah. The other thing for this game, because you have it's a deck builder that you construct beforehand, and you go in and you play, and you'll be able to play down these different cards or trigger these different events. The thing that I liked as well is that the cards are multi-use. Sure. So you don't always have to pay a cost to play them down or to trigger them. They have skill symbols that you commit to tests to boost your strength for that test.
Yep.
So no card is ever dead in your hand or deck. If you can't afford to pay for it, you can just discard it for a skill test, which I liked.
Yep. And they're just kind of based off of what kind of skill set you're going for. A lot of the green cards are more agility based than anything else. A lot of the red cards are more strength based.
Right.
But there is little bits of different icons in each of the sets. And as well as question marks, which you can use as wild for no matter what test it is. You can throw down some bonus modifiers for that.
How did you feel about the combat in this game? Because you will be going around to different locations and fighting different monsters.
Combat was interesting. I never found it really awesome or anything like that. My character, personally, that I was using throughout the 5 gameplays that we did was more of an elusive character. I was not a fighter. I had like a strength of 1.
Yeah.
So I wanted to stay away. So I was always evading monsters and getting around them and exploring new areas. I did have a couple backstab type attacks or whatever, but I never found myself fighting too much because the HP of monsters was higher than I wanted it to be over the course of a battle. I couldn't kill it.
Yeah, I mean, well, combat's very simple. It's a skill test like anything else. You reach in, you either succeed or fail, and if you succeed, you do 1 damage. You can get different assets that do more damage. So some of those higher hit point monsters were very hard to kill.
Oh yeah, especially the bosses when they're getting up into
like 10 plus range.
10 plus range. You're just like, well, you're doing 1 damage per hit unless you have a special weapon that makes it 2.
Yep.
Or you play a special card that adds +1 to that damage. Yep. So you're hitting that thing forever before you kill it.
The thing about the combat that I liked the most was that you, like you said, you don't always have to fight. You can try to evade them, which will then exhaust them.
Right.
It's almost a lot like the Warhammer Quest, the adventure card game, where you can like evade these people, they get exhausted, and then there's also your own threat area. So when things are engaged with you, you can't take any other action other than to fight or evade them. So it really limits your options, which I also like. It's not like I have 3 ghouls on me and I can just go ahead and do whatever I want. I need to deal with the threat that's present first before I can go do anything else, which made some interesting decisions. I also like the fact that you could, if you're at the same location as another investigator, you could try to attack a monster that's engaged with them.
Right.
But if you miss, well, then you damage the investigator.
Right. So there's risk versus reward there.
Yeah. But you could take an action to, say, pull it off.
Right.
Them onto you, but then you're wasting an action. So how much do you think you're going to hit them versus how much damage do you potentially don't want to do?
And the modifiers in that chaos bag that you're pulling off, they're like basically all negatives.
Yes.
So you need to be way above. You need to be like a higher percentile if you want to guarantee your success.
Yeah, and there's different levels of difficulty that you set at the start of a campaign. The one thing that I would say for all those modifiers would be a good idea to do is figure out at what strength of your skill test, like how much you're above what you need, what your percentage chance of succeeding is. Because going from maybe being up 2 to being up 3 is like you're at 80% with +3, so there's not really much point maybe to go to a +4 or a +5.
Right.
So having those sorts of numbers in your head when you start the game makes it a whole lot easier when you're trying to decide how much to commit to any one skill test.
Sure.
The other thing that I had mentioned when we had done our before and after too was building up your board state.
Right.
You have a deck builder. You start with nothing in play at the beginning, but you can equip a machete or a flashlight, or you can get an ally coming in with you. I did like that aspect of the game because I felt like I was gearing up as we were going into the scenario.
The one thing I would say is that it doesn't seem very thematic that you're coming into the scenario unprepared.
Well, they caught you unaware.
You get there and here's some monsters, and you're just like, oh, well, let me get my bag here and see what I can find. Give me a couple of moments here to equip. Okay.
That is true, but maybe you were just
you were ambushed.
You're ambushed. You were having
every start of every scenario you are ambushed.
Basically. The thing that I like as well is the customization of your deck is kind of doled out to you piece by piece. So it's like a campaign play. You'll choose an investigator and you'll go through a campaign with them, and you'll be earning experience points, which you can use to level up the cards in your deck, buy new cards for your deck. So it makes it not so heavy on the customization before you start playing.
Right.
So if you just want to jump right in, you can, and then slowly customize as you go.
Right. This is actually something that I really disliked in the game. I felt like there wasn't enough customization, and because you spend these experience points to buy new cards. Now you can either get a brand new card and put it into your deck, but your deck has a limit, so you have to get rid of another card.
Yeah.
Or you upgrade a card and get its more powerful version and put it in. But with limited experience points, you're changing maybe 1 to 3 cards in your deck at the end of a scenario. You have this 30-card deck. You're going through about half to 3/4 of your deck over the course of the scenario.
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee that you'll even see those cards. And when you do see them, if it's an upgraded card, it's just like, oh, now you get to draw a card in addition to this bonus. It's not some miraculous, oh my goodness, this card is so much better now.
Right.
It's so different, right?
Yeah.
So I just was disappointed in the leveling up aspect. I felt like I just had the same deck going through the whole scenario, and it never really changed.
Yeah, I think where you'll get the most out of that, because it is a living card game, is once there's a bunch more content out, you're not getting a whole lot of customization in the base box.
Right.
So don't think you're going to buy the base box and have a myriad of options.
Not at all.
You're not going to have that many options available to you, but if you stick with the game and the game progresses, then I think you will get that.
Right, I agree.
The only other thing that I wanted to mention for the gameplay and mechanisms is there's these different locations, and they're all connected in different ways. They have symbols that you're supposed to match up. It's very difficult. One tip that we had heard from Rodney Smith from our podcast was to use like popsicle sticks to connect them. Then it's a much easier visual representation of how you can move about the board.
Yeah, if you're just using those icons, like in the top corner of each card of each location is this one icon, and then in the bottom row it's like these are all the places you can go to, and it's just a myriad of different icons. So then you have to look at all the other locations and see if the icon matches up. Yes, I can go here. Yeah. No, I can't go here. And if you just put down those popsicle sticks and just go, this location leads to this one and this one and this one, so much easier.
Yeah. All right, so are you ready for the final thoughts and rating?
Let's do it.
So I'm going to give this game a 8 out of 10.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is quite high for me, especially given that it's a cooperative game.
Right.
Not usually my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the challenge of this game, as well as the integration with story and the consequence. You know, this is a co-op game with consequence that will continue from game to game to game based on the decisions that you make.
Yeah.
I am planning on sticking with this game, at least for the foreseeable future.
Right.
Getting the expansion packs, you know, and going through all the different scenarios. So for me, 8 out of 10, very solid game that I'm planning on sticking with.
Nice. For me, this was a really tough decision, and I'm deciding to give it a 6 out of 10. I really enjoyed the gameplay, and I'm excited to see what comes out in the future for expansions, but that whole customizing your deck, I didn't feel it in the core box. Right. The fact that you play through the scenario once and then it's just like, okay, well, if I do it again, I know everything that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It needs more content. As soon as it has more stuff, it's probably going to go to a 7 and then maybe an 8.
Right.
I think this game could make it up to an 8. I don't think it would get higher than that.
Yeah, I think it has like a certain niche for me as well. I'm not going to want to play it all the time, but I like that consequence nature to the game.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the thing that draws me the most. If this was just a one and done scenario based game,
sure,
I don't think it would be as high, but that, you know, going in and if we do so bad that I go insane, then that's going to affect my character for the next game.
Right.
Or if I get killed for damage, it's going to affect me this way.
Yeah.
I really like that, and I think that's what makes it that much better for me.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right, well, that is our review of Arkham Horror, the card game. Don't forget to go down, like, and subscribe to your YouTube channel. We always appreciate when you do that.
And in the description down below, you can head to our website where we do podcasts. We are currently on episode 27 at the time of this recording. So enjoy all that. They're about 3 hours long.
There you go, lots of time. All right, see you guys next time.
Take care.